Want more podcast fandom in your ear holes? Of course you do. Go to patreon.com/podcastfandom to become a premium podcast subscriber. For just $10 a month, you'll have access to podcast coverage of Westworld, Preacher, Netflix original series, including all of their Marvel shows, The Walking Dead graphic novels, and more. Plus, we have a monthly pop culture show called Racism and Shade and an exclusive game night just for premium members. We're always adding new content, and we're always looking for ways to provide perks to our beloved and sexy premium members. So go to patreon.com/podcastfandom to become a premium podcast subscriber. And now, enjoy this free shit. Hey guys, welcome to Podcast Fandom, the official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm John.
And we are back to discuss a brand new show. Yay! You're like, the corpse of Murder Dirter is barely cold, Nina. And you guys are already back with another show. How fortunate are we? I know that's what you're saying. And yes, you are quite fortunate that we are covering yet another show on our neglected free podcast, and it is called Sweet Tooth. It is a Netflix original series based off of a limited run or a limited comic book series published by DC Comics, I believe.
And it's complete opposite of Murder Dirter.
And it is this is like the purest shit I've ever seen. Okay? There will be no incest that I know of. There will be no child murder on either end that I know of. Although they tried. They really tried to kill this kid.
Now, when you say limited run, what do you mean?
I said limited run, but it was a limited series. The comic book series they call it a limited series. It was only, to my knowledge, less than 50 issues.
Yeah, it was 46.
And it was written and created by and drawn by Jeff Lemire. I want to make sure I get this right. Published through Vertigo, which is a DC imprint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it's based on, but it's currently on Netflix. The first season is 8 episodes. We're going to be talking about just the first episode tonight, and then we're going to be doing 2 episodes at a time for the next 3 weeks, and then we'll do the finale on its own, which is my favorite way to podcast. I hate when we have to talk about the finale with, like, even if it's just one episode that occurred before it in the same podcast. I hate it. So that's what we're going to be doing. And check the schedule because I completely had a brain fart, you guys. Oh, sorry about that. I hit my mic. I forgot that Loki, which is a show that we're going to be covering on the premium podcast, I'd forgotten that it was moved to Wednesdays, and I assumed that it was going to be a Friday release like WandaVision, like Winter Falcon, but it's Wednesdays, and it's this Wednesday. So when I was tentatively working on this schedule, I had put Loki for Mondays. And that's a lot of days in between to try to avoid talking about it with other people or spoilers and such. So my bad. I talked to John and Donnie, and we will be recording Loki on Thursdays, the day after it drops on Disney Plus. So check the schedule for that. So basically that and Sweet Tooth have swapped. We'll be doing Sweet Tooth on Monday evenings and Loki on Thursdays. Also, the Attack on Titan episodes have been chosen. Our lovely friend Katoria went through the first three seasons and sectioned off which episodes we should talk about on the podcast, like as a group. And Kaylee went through the list and to see if she agrees because she's seen the first season of Attack on Titan. I haven't, and we are a go. So that is also on the schedule, and it looks like to the best of my recollection right now, we'll be doing like 2, sometimes 3 episodes at a time, but they're always, like I said, carefully, this has been carefully chosen to make sure that we're talking about story arcs together in a way that makes sense instead of trying to cram a bunch of episodes into one podcast. So there's that. And I feel like there was one other show. Oh, wait, you guys, hold on. Before we dive in, I have the schedule right here. Loki, Sweet Tooth, Attack on Titan. Donnie and I still have to finish the Nevers podcast, which I might do some of that without him because he works a lot. And I really want to watch that finale, and I can't till we talk about that last episode. Okay, that's all I got for now. Oh, and Why the Last Man, but that's not until September, and that is officially going to be a show that I'm going to be podcasting from Korea. Like something I never thought I'd say. Like I'll be podcasting that while I'm in Korea. But yeah, that got a release date finally. That is Monday, September 13th, and so that is a week before I go to Korea. So I am not going to not cover that show. I have been waiting years for this show. I'm super excited, but in the meantime I'm sure other stuff will pop up and the schedule will fill up once again. But for right now, for June taking us into July, those are the shows that we're covering. All feedback posts live on Patreon. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you guys other than it is way easier for me, so that's why I do it. We don't use the website, although I'm thinking about kind of transitioning back into doing reviews on the website, mainly like comic book stuff, because I still have contacts at different publishers and I get emails and I feel terrible. They're like, would you like to review this? And it's like shit that I think that, everybody would be interested in. So I'm thinking about kind of phasing back into that, at least doing that, and if people are interested in reviewing, because there's just like some cool stuff that I saw. Like there's one book coming out. It's like I think like I want to say, is it his 80th anniversary, Captain America? So it's this huge like book filled with Captain America shit that they want us to review, and I was like, oh, this would be nice to talk about. So that may be coming, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. The schedule will fill up, but for now, everything that we're covering, the feedback posts, they live on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/podcastfandom, and the feedback posts are there. It's one post per show per season. It's the same post. It's less confusing for me. Everything lives in one place. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask, so for the free show, if somebody wants to leave feedback, those posts will be available to anyone, right?
Yes, they are open on Patreon. They're not behind the paywall. You could just go leave the feedback there. And I will read it on the podcast from there. If you are a paid subscriber, though, you get early access to all the podcasts. So this Sweet Tooth podcast will be up on Patreon for about 2 days before it goes up on iTunes. And if there is ever an issue with Libsyn, if I run out of space, if I run out of room, one of the things that what I have been doing is putting the podcast up on Patreon and not putting it behind a paywall. So even if you're not a subscriber, you can sometimes have access to shows that are supposed to be, or that are free, but they just live on Patreon. When that happens, though, I let you guys know. So as it stands right now, if you want to follow along as we talk about Sweet Tooth over the next month, the feedback post is already up on Patreon. So tonight we're going to talk about episode 1, right? Episode 1. Oh, and let me get this part out of the way, too, about the show. This way, because I've been really bad about that. Hold on. Okay. So episode 1 is titled Out of the Deep Woods. And this series stars Christian, I wrote this so fast. Is his last name Convery or
Yeah,
Convey? Convery? Is that an R? I can't even read my own handwriting.
yeah, Convery. Yeah.
Convery. And Will Forte had I have a feeling we'll be seeing him in flashbacks. And Nonso Anonzi?
Mm-hmm.
Anozi.
I nosy. Yeah.
And he is great. I remember him from Game of Thrones. He was Zara Zara Duck Sauce.
All right. I forgot that he was on.
Yeah, he got.
Yeah.
I was like, oh hey, he's the one that got locked in that vault. Daenerys left his ass in there.
Mm-hmm.
Where are my dragons? Anyway, so yeah, so those are as of right now. Three of the stars of the show. Like I said, we're going to talk about this premiere episode as we typically do, and I love this.
And
I'm super excited to talk about this because there is, like, this is easy to talk about, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Which I absolutely loved going into it. I don't know about you. Like watching it, like I felt like, oh, you don't have to really take notes, if that makes sense. Like I just as I was watching it, I was like, well, one, I was really enjoying it, but I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun to talk about because it's you know how some shows just make for great conversation, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, or some shows are just good to podcast, but maybe it's not necessarily a good conversation, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I won't have to moderate the fuck out of this, so I'm super excited. But before we dive in, we're gonna give our overall thoughts because that's what we do.
And I just say like also the narrator was
Oh
cool.
right,
Who is the
Thanos.
narrator?
James
Thanos.
Brolin.
Thanos.
Oh shit. I didn't know.
No, it's James Brolin, his dad.
Oh no, wait a minute, James. Who's the son?
Josh.
Ah, okay. First of all, the dad's voice sounds like John Goodman. Second of all, his voice doesn't sound as old as he is.
Right. It doesn't.
Right?
He's
No,
like
but
173.
but you know what I mean. Like I thought it was his son's voice. So when
Hmm.
I was going through IMDb and I saw Brolin, I just kept going.
I mean, those are very strong genes.
Yeah.
Like they are very. They look similar. They sound
Mhm.
similar. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. But like also, it sounds like a man of his son's age to me. If
Mhm.
that makes sense. Like, so I'm not no shade. Like, he just didn't sound like as old as I know that actor is. Okay, so overall thoughts, Donnie, what did you think?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was just one of the best pilots I've seen out of any show in a while. Even watching it the second time, I still get teary-eyed at the end of the episode, and
Mm-hmm.
it just from beginning to end, it's just beautifully written, acted. I mean, everything about it was just perfect.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I think it was really good. It's very adventure. Like it feels like an adventure series,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
And like I was reminded of a lot of other things, like the way that it begins with the frantic cold open, like before even the credits. Like it really felt like World War Z
Mm-hmm.
or like even like The Last of Us, the video
Mm-hmm.
game. And then like the stuff like when him like being with his dad like isolated and his dad like writing these books that are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
real books that he's recreating or whatever. It felt like I don't think you guys have seen this, but Brigsby Bear, the movie.
I've never seen that now.
Yeah, it came out 2 or 3 years ago, and it was very similar where like there were a family isolated themselves, and then
Mm-hmm.
they made a TV show for their son, and then the son thought the TV show was real.
Ah, okay.
And then when the son got out when he was in like 20 or something, then it he found out the show's not real. It's like it just felt very similar to that, like a very similar tone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was just very interesting. Like I like seeing things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and so and
Um,
like the comparison to Last of Us is really interesting because like both of these things, like this happened in 2009, and Last of Us was also being developed in 2009. So it was just really cool to see like it's always interesting when similar stories happen at the same
yeah,
time.
but you know that's not by accident, right? Like,
Yeah, like often
I
it's not
learned
like
that.
accident.
Yeah, it's all like it's so weird to me. Like even when it comes to like technology development, right? Like you read an article and it's like, yeah, like it was like a race, like Microsoft and Apple both knew that they were working on a so and so and so. It was just a matter of who could finish it first. And it's like, but what are the chances that they would be? But it's that kind of, or for instance, in the masterclass, Shonda Rhimes masterclass that I took, I learned that, networks will say, like what she was saying with how before Grey's Anatomy, that she was willing to write anything. So they just came to, it's like, we want hospital shows. She was like, okay, I'll do that. You know
Right.
what I mean? And that's just it's so weird to me. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's, as a writer, it's so weird to work that way. And I do think that's a difference between, like, because when you're writing books, you're just writing like wherever your ideas come from. Of course, there are some people, I'm sure, that is like, oh, werewolf porn books are hot. Let me write a couple of those. I can't do that.
Hell yeah.
And do you think they made this based off the coronavirus? Like, because the coronavirus, like, because
No.
that's how the main plot line of it is created because of this virus.
No, because this was it's based
mutates and
off,
possibly.
but it's based off a book series. So
I know, but
But I
I
mean,
if, that's,
but
if it's
this-
a coronavirus, because the coronavirus peaked or whatever, that they said, okay, we need to make this show because it's kind of in the times.
I would say maybe, yeah, if the coronavirus was older than this.
I think that they were making this show before it happened,
Yeah,
but then they were probably influenced a little bit, I would say, because they were still making it as the coronavirus became bigger. So I mean, I would imagine there's some influence in terms of, the maybe like the way they play it or something,
Okay.
or maybe not. Maybe
I mean, I don't know. I haven't
happens
read
to
the
be-
book. Like, I was just going to say, I hesitate to say that because I know there's source material. And so, for all I know, this is like, somebody who's read, we'll go to the feedback and somebody will be like, this first episode was page for page from the comic.
yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. But what I do know, though, is that obviously, like, and this isn't the first time. Like, we've had this and Winter Falcon and fuck, what was the other thing? There was another show that actually had to change stuff because they were in production during the worst of the virus last year. And you have to be sensitive to that. So I would think, if anything, if it is affected, I think it probably would have been less than, because that seems to be the path people are taking with that in terms of creative so far. I still think we're probably 6 months away from the opposite of that, where there'll be like a surge of
like things that started happening after the coronavirus became a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, things that were actually influenced, and like people were like, "Oh, we're gonna make this because of the pandemic." Right. Is that what you're saying?
Wait, say it again. Say that last
Like,
part again.
Like you said, like we're about 6 months out from things coming to fruition that would have been happening because the pandemic happened.
Right. That people
like the pandemic happened, so now we're going to make a show reflective of the pandemic.
Exactly. Before people
that was already being made, and then it had to adjust
either adjust to include it or just to like step back a little bit, if that makes sense, because in our country alone 500,000 people died. So I think that I like, even Winter Falcon is the example I'm thinking of most specifically, where you kind of curb some of that because it's insensitive, but I do think like what you're saying, John, is exactly what I'm trying to say. I think we are about 6 months away at least out from all of a sudden there just being an influx of corona type stuff, and that I feel like would be like cash grab type, just like how there was a time when certain types of disaster movies were big or whatever. And again, back to John's original point, like a lot of that stuff isn't by accident though. Like they can hear another studio is, oh, they want to do this, well, we got to hurry, rush and do this. And sometimes it's something as stupid as like, they have another Jane Austen adaptation, we have to rush out, like that type of shit. And it's like, the world doesn't need another fucking Pride and Prejudice.
They're making Volcano, we got to make Dante's Peak.
Exactly.
They're making Armageddon, we got to make Deep Impact.
But Deep Impact is my movie, though. I absolutely loved it. Yes, okay, it did record. I absolutely loved it. I did not expect to for it to get me. I didn't know it choked you up too, Donnie, until you
Yeah, I
just
mean,
said
like,
it.
cause I had told you, I'd never watched a trailer for this show. I did not know what we were watching going into it. I just knew, hey, there was some deer kid, but other than that, I had no idea what the show was about.
Did we watch? We watched it together both times, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm old and usually high,
Dear
so.
kid.
Um, well, John brought this to our attention because we were looking for stuff to podcast.
Yeah, you guys,
And
but I
John,
didn't watch when he
I
put the
watched
trailer
just
in there. I didn't watch it.
I watched just enough to see if this is something I would even be interested in, and then I stopped because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled. Which
I watched the fuck out of the trailer. I watched the whole thing.
I was like, okay, you got me. And I need to remember that and stop doing the opposite of that, like Gunpowder Milkshake. They tell
I
you
haven't watched that yet either.
don't. The trailer is the movie. And it's so fucking frustrating because there's so much in that trailer that just doesn't have to be. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, I want to see this. But now I'm not as in a rush to see it, if that makes sense. It's like.
And like Why the Last Man, I don't know anything about that
Good.
story either.
Don't
so I'm
watch
not
shit.
And that trailer hasn't come out, so I'm not going to watch that one.
You don't need to know shit because you're podcasting it. So it don't matter. You're going to be there because I said so. Okay, but I love this. And we have been watching movies as a family on Sundays. And we did a thing where. Because we can't just do things. We can't just be like, hey, let's just watch movies every Sunday. We got to make it a game. So everybody in our house, except for Nico, put movie titles that we want the family to watch together. And we wrote them down. And Jack had like 12 titles. I could only come up at the time with 4. So we each got to put 4 titles into a Ritz cracker box. Shake up the box, pull the slipper paper, and we would watch the movie. So, who won the first week?
You did.
Oh yeah, I did. And they pulled Train to Busan, right, from the box. Jack pulled, and we got that. And then I gave them the option of we could stick with that, or I told them the other 2 movies. Yeah, I'm sorry, I only put 3 in. And then they could choose between those. So mine were, what were they? Scream, Clue, and Train to Busan.
Yeah.
So they picked Train to Busan. I told them the other 2 options. They're like, no, that's cool. We can watch Train to Busan. So we watched that last Sunday. And if you guys have seen that movie, unless you are an evil son of a bitch, it gets to you at the end. But for some reason, I don't know why it hit me harder last Sunday. And I was practically sobbing watching the end of that movie. So then yesterday, Donnie won, right?
Yep.
Yes. And
What'd y'all watch? Big Trouble in Little China?
oh God.
No.
I don't even. So wait. Well, before you tell them what movie was pulled, what were the other 2? Because I don't remember that.
And the funny thing is it was split between everybody in the household on what movie to watch.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes. I remember that part. Go ahead.
It was Stand By Me,
I just said don't tell them.
Goonies,
But go ahead.
and Escape Room.
So Jack pulled Stand By Me, and then they were like, oh, I don't know. And then Kaylee was like, no. It was
No, Jack pulled Escape Room.
It was Escape Room. That's it.
Right.
Jack pulled Escape Room. And Kaylee was like, I can't watch that. It'll just give me anxiety and it freaks me out and I don't want to watch it. And so I was like, and.
What is Escape Room?
It's a horror movie they got a sequel coming out, but I really liked it.
And it's basically people doing an escape room.
Right.
Which we've done as a family.
Right.
And dying.
Right, and dying in
Yes.
an escape room. So, Jack was fine with the escape room. And Kaylee wanted Goonies. And then I had to be the tiebreaker, and I was like,
I'm not choosing.
I'm not choosing between my 2 kids. So then I was like, I was like, y'all better rock, paper, scissors, because I'm not going to do it. And then they were like, fine, Donnie, you pick. And I looked at Donnie, I was like, if you pick between these 2 kids, I'll fucking punch you in your face. So somehow or another, we just ended up with Stand By Me. Watch that. I was crying at the end of that too, John.
I mean, it's sad.
It is sad. But then, and that's a whole nother discussion. But remind me, I do want to have a discussion about how underrated that movie is and how
It still holds up.
it really does hold up. But honestly, the character of Chris Chambers, played by River Phoenix, is like a very rare male character. That kid was woke. He was no, but like he was encouraging. He didn't, they had their little things like, oh, I guess I'm a pussy, huh? Which is like being, that's rooted in homophobia. They do say the R word and they do say the F word in this movie, and
Yeah.
F being the gay slur. So that doesn't hold up at all. That doesn't never ages well. But the other stuff, like just the way that friendship, I thought this is really kind of rare to see. These boys supposed to be 13 years old, and the way they were there for each other, and the way they spoke to each other and comforted each other, like it was just. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how good this was, But anyway, I'm glad my son watched it. But anyway, then I watched this, and I was like, oh my God, he's a little deer baby.
And those little babies that the other animal hybrid babies in the hospital, they were like,
They were more like I felt like they were more animalistic than he was. Like they had full blown porcupine needles.
Yeah. But you know what?
He just had the ears and the horns.
yeah, but they were still adorable.
Yeah, it was still adorable. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about. Let me get my notes and make sure. All right, so you guys, my first note I have, so COVID, then fur babies, because that's basically what happened. The world catches a super flu. Now, and this is the world, right? It's not just like America. Like the world was getting sick, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
but all we saw was the news from America.
Right. We just saw our but and it's told through like the eyes, like the as it was spreading, and it's told the narrator's talking about it, but we're seeing this doctor, I think his name is Dr. Singh, trying to treat people, and you see like the first patient with like the sniffles and stuff, and you just already know, you're like, oh man, here it comes. And more people are getting sick, and then eventually his wife gets sick, and it's just chaos. And one of the signs, I guess, of like when it's going to get really bad is like the muscle, the pinky twitch. Now, when we watched this the first time, I felt like they weren't showing you what happened to people, right? Like we were seeing people get sick, but I didn't see.
They did on the news. You did see like the president talking about it, and he said that U.S. just surpassed 1 million deaths.
Okay, because I was like, is that it? Like, is it just like COVID? Like, is it, you catch this virus and then it does other things to your bodies, right? Your body, and then you get sick and you die from those things, right? Like, if it damages your organs or whatever. Okay, because I was like, what's happening? Or it's like, is she gonna turn into like a deer lady? I didn't know what was gonna happen because I didn't watch the whole trailer. So I was like, Donnie, what's happening? Are they going to turn? Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was getting freaked out. I thought it was going to be a totally different type of show. But then,
like, oh no, it's werewolf porn again.
Yes. I was like, is it zombies? I didn't know. But then when he's in the hospital tending to his wife, he's called in to help down the hall because, as it turns out, there's a nursery full of hybrid babies, like half baby, half
and
human,
they
half
said
animal.
It just started that morning.
Now, so what I was asking Donnie was, so women were pregnant with presumably normal human fetuses, right? Then normal human babies, and all of that was normal on their, sonograms and stuff. But then they pushed out these babies and they were normal, and then they went in a nursery and turned into these things, or they were born that way.
I think they were born that way.
Yeah.
And that's what Gus, the same thing, is Gus was born that way.
And we see Gus is already being...
Gus is important because he's the first.
Or, we don't know if he's the first.
Well, we're assuming it because we know, but referring to him as the older one.
Well, yeah, because I think that's going to be the rub is that people are going to eventually realize that he was born before what they think is the beginning because they're
Right.
like, we don't know if the virus came first or the hybrids, but they
Right.
seem pretty for whatever reason. Well, I guess for obvious reasons. People feel like it's connected. Some people in a negative way,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah,
blaming them. Yeah.
I hate people. I
Obviously.
hate people
And they
so
see it
much.
as a threat.
Yeah. I mean, and I
Yeah.
get, like, there's certain, well, like as the guy in the woods said, the internet went down and then everything collapsed, and that's totally
Yeah.
understandable. Like, yep, that tracks. That absolutely
I mean,
fucking
when the
tracks.
Wi-Fi goes out, that's what happens.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen. So I was like, that tracks. And I'm not saying you'd go as far as like hunting these things for money or sport or whatever the fuck these people are getting from it. But I would absolutely understand if, imagine uh, April 2020, right? And COVID is happening exactly as it's happening, and you have as it happened, and people are complaining about masks and going back to work or not going to work, and all that shit's happening, and then you hear babies are born half possum, half squirrel, half deer. I might think they're connected. I might
Yeah, I
want,
mean, like,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I would think they were connected,
But I
but
wouldn't
then
want to be
to
go
go the
hunting.
extra step,
Yeah. Hunting the babies. No.
yeah, like going the extra step and being like, oh, it's connected, therefore we must kill them,
Right.
like,
No.
or like we must hate them,
Right.
or like anything like just like that's too far. And that's one of the things that I really like about this is like this feels very evolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of how it comes about, even though like it obviously I don't believe evolution would happen this quickly,
Right.
but it feels like a very evolutionary story. Like that's one of the things about like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the answer is that the egg came first because what hatched out of it was not a chicken until it was a chicken. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I like about this is like it feels like that. It feels like, oh, this is like evolution. And this is the kind of things that people have theorized would happen, like eventually to humans. It's just like at some point we will start, evolving into, different things, different ways of being a human.
Well, hurry the fuck up, because the way we're doing it now sucks. um so this happens, and as the world is kind of going to shit over this, this man who I don't know, did we ever get his real name? He calls him Papa, but he is
No, we never got his name.
he is leaving it all behind to go out and live in the woods with his baby, who we later see is a deer baby, half baby boy, half baby deer.
And it felt like he was
Boy,
doing
dear.
this like right, like, and they talk about it like how he like, oh, the world's burning. He's telling the story about, hey, this is how the world fell apart. But if they kind of
Well, you mean later,
like,
when he's telling...
right later,
Yeah.
but it feels like in here he's leaving like right when it's kicking off.
Well, he's lying, clearly, about some stuff.
Right. But he doesn't know
also,
exactly what's going on there.
He's lying about some stuff because later, like, even as he is telling him, and then it's like, oh, he decided that he wasn't ready for the rest, and that's why he buried that stuff. You know what I mean?
Something else this reminds me of The Village. Like, and
Yeah.
it was very, like, I'm not so sure that that's really his kid.
Oh, I thought that was obvious, right? Like, I feel like we're all supposed to...
They don't say it outright that it's not his kid. They want you to think it's his kid.
Do they? Because I really feel like it's clear that it's not. Because he doesn't...
Yeah, I know, because even like when he's writing the books, he signs it as father. Like they're telling you that this.
I feel like they're telling us that
I felt like it was his dad.
Okay, what I mean is, I feel like the way this is playing, and maybe it's because of all the secrets and stuff, the fact that he's hiding stuff from this kid, and the way he wasn't telling him certain stuff. I thought this feels like it's classic. He is taking, like, something else it reminds me of. We made John watch it so he could talk about the finale with us. The Passage. Right, where he went out into the woods with her at the end. Like, so I just kind of felt like it was one of those things where he's already made up his mind. Like he knew what was coming, right? Like whatever he was involved in, whatever, how he get your hands on this deer baby, he had already made up his mind that they needed to go Dexter it up in the woods, right? And live off the grid. So he knew some shit was going down. And I think because of that and then the secrecy and stuff, that I always thought, like, are we going to find out, like, did he escape with one from the lab?
Yeah, that's what I was going to think. That's what I was thinking.
But that, of course, he's going to rate. But, I mean, he could be the dad. But it's just so weird to me that, like, it played differently, it sounds like, to at least two of us. But
yeah, I mean, I think that it played to me that he's not his dad, but I feel like the show wants you to think he's his dad because he say, "I'm your dad."
Yeah,
like he literally says the words. So I mean, I think the show wants you to think that, oh yeah, this is a father and his son, but I don't think it's actually his son.
But either way, he takes him out into the woods, and his name is Gus. Now, it's so funny because the first time we watched this, I did not even think about that, like his name or the name of the show. Like, I was just so into the story. And so at the very end, when the big man calls him Sweet Tooth, I was like, oh, that's how he gets his name, and that's how the show gets his name. And it didn't even occur to me, no, dummy, his name is Gus. And the dad had been calling him Gus all hour. That name, soon as Big Man called him Sweet Tooth, his name became Sweet Tooth. I ain't calling him Gus.
I like the way that it gets the Sweet Tooth name. It was really nicely played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Oh, you like those candy bars, huh?
Yeah. Diversify your sugar intake.
You want to tell me your actual name, so I'm going to call you what I want to call you.
Right. And then even when you think about it, like with the maple syrup and he drinking that shit like it's Coca-Cola.
Even now, having seen the episode twice, I have never actually seen this thing you're talking about. Like, I've seen him grab the flask of it at the end when he's running out. And I've seen him take a swig of it at one point because I made a joke, like an inappropriate joke. I think it was like that it was alcohol is the inappropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Because when
he was sitting in that hole, he did look like he was drinking alcohol.
Yeah, and that was just fucking straight maple syrup.
Yeah, and then Donnie was like, "It's his syrup." Yeah, that's so funny because you were like, Donnie was like, "Is that?" I was like, "Is it that scissyrup? What do they call it?
Scissorp.
Scissorp, yes.
Sipping on some scissorp.
Oh my god, but I never saw, like, I just thought we were being assholes. I didn't know that it is actual tree sap.
Yeah, that's what they show you how he's making it.
So I missed that part of it. So, like, the whole time I just thought, whatever it was, we're just like, I don't know, because he is part deer, so for all I fucking know, this guy is feeding him some shit that deers need to eat.
Yeah, that's my assumption, was that like he has to drink this sort. Like, it wasn't something that he like wanted or whatever. It was just something like he needs it.
But is it just then maple syrup, or was the guy doing something to it?
I mean, I don't know.
Deers drink maple syrup? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I'm not a deerologist, but I know that like when his dad leaves at one point, he's like, "Be sure to take your syrup." Yeah. So like, it did very much sound like a medicine.
Yeah. Oh, curious. Okay, so this is something Donnie and I talked about. Has that kid? Oh, wait. I'm gonna say something. I'm purposely doing this out of order. So he tells Gus, Sweet Tooth, Papa tells him about the virus, or tells him about how they came to be there, or whatever, like what the outside world is like. And he told him, in the way he tells it, the virus came first.
Yes.
Because, and this is where I was just like, zealot. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, his explanation for all of this sounds rooted in biblical stuff, you know? Like, everybody was so greedy, and they was on them smartphones and watching reading that werewolf porn.
And then I was like, "Make America great again."
Right? You know, it just felt like he was like, and so then God is like, you know what? It made everybody sick, and I mean, I'm joking and laughing because that's what we do here, but people believe that about COVID too. Like, that's a thing that happens within religion. So when he was saying that the virus, now I don't think we're also supposed to take everything he says as gospel, no pun intended. But I just thought it was interesting that they very much set it up in the narration that, and clearly the narration is happening in the future, that they still don't know what came first. But in his mind, the world was shit, and so God punished everybody by sending the sick, is what they call. Come on, y'all couldn't. The sick.
They call it the sick, and they call like the great crumble, right?
You're like, yes. And I was like, that's like a cookie. That's so dumb. Okay, but anyway, he says the virus came first, and the world burned, right? And out of that came them. Like, I mean, it sounds very like PETA. PETA propaganda, like, because you didn't know how to treat animals.
Yeah.
God said, "Here you go." Like, now you have no choice. Do like it felt like he thinks they are, Well, I mean, they are special, but yeah, the way he told it just kind of turned me off from him a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it does. That's the part of it that really feels like The Village to me. It's like he feels very like Pubba feels very much like he's taking reality and he's bending it in such a way that he wants, because obviously he was lying about the fire, and so like it just feels like, I don't know if we're supposed to take what he's saying as like that's what he believes, or if what he's saying is what he wants Gus to believe, or Sweet Tooth to believe, so that he stays there.
I think I hear your storm.
Yeah, it's raining.
Terrifying. No, I'm not complaining. It's terrifying considering what we're talking about. And I'm like, is that? At first I thought it was downstairs, and I'm like, is that Donnie's stomach? Like, what is that? And then I remember, he said it's raining. So no, but this is actually a segue then, because the reason I wanted to talk about this first, and I'm glad you said like the burning was a lie. Is it though? Like, did something happen? Because like, I feel a couple of things. I feel like some of the stuff the guy said, the weird guy that he first came across, and then some of the stuff like Big Man said, it did feel like there was some sort of like, not war, but motherfuckers don't know how to act. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we saw that. I mean,
because then when he went out to the
neighborhoods and stuff,
right? And when he goes out past the Yellowstone Park, it looked singed, like the ground did. So, right. But then the other thing that makes me curious about like where this fire talk is coming from is, had that kid really not seen rain in 7 years?
That's how I played.
I mean, they did react to the rain very weirdly.
Yeah, because
maybe it was the thunder. I don't know.
Right, but even then, John, because he's away from him, right? When he hears it, like the storm starts coming, and he's like, and it starts raining, and he runs and he's like, Papa, and he's like, I'm here, and he like explains what rain is to him.
And then they start playing in it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and Donnie was like, has this kid not? And I'm like, but the world could not survive, right? If it doesn't rain for 7 fucking years. I mean, is it that bad out in the streets? Like, but this kid,
they definitely couldn't survive where they were without any rain.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, why is this kid so like? He's like, it's just, and then again, he does that thing where it's like, it's irresponsible. I guess on the one hand, he wanted this kid to be a kid and have a childhood. But on the other hand, he knows how dangerous the world is, or at least he assumes. And he understands how this kid is going to be treated and hunted and all of that stuff. He's seen the flyers. So it's like you got to prepare him in some way. And it felt like in some ways he was doing a good job preparing him, and then other ways he wasn't. And I'm like, explain rain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Explain rain and don't be like, it's Mother Nature washing the world clean. No, it's not.
I mean, that's one of the things. Is like, if he believes that, then
Right. Oh, of course. Right. So that's the thing. I don't know. Like something about the way like he talks to this kid is part of me was like, okay, good job. In other parts, I was just like, oh, see, this is why you got to kind of prepare him just a little bit better, you know. But yeah,
yeah,
it
like
did
this
play
whole like if you hear a growl, duck, and I'm like, say more.
yeah, yeah,
Like
because
even
now
that part where he gets out to the fence and like you hear a growl but you don't see shit.
right.
And even Nita's like, what the fuck was that?
I was like, what is that? Okay. So then Gus wanders and he hears the growling. That's what I have in my notes. That's what Donnie was just talking about. He kind of wanders past where he's supposed to be. And there's like this definite, like, I don't know, are we supposed to feel like it was the wind sounded like growls to him? Or was there, it just sounded like there was something huge out there growling.
The way I took it was that it was in his head
Okay.
because he was afraid. That's the
Okay.
way I
Okay.
viewed it.
And
Because he
then,
had been told that his entire life, that's what would happen.
okay. They encounter a man who says he's looking for his sister. Do we trust this man?
No.
Okay.
Trust none of them.
Yeah.
And
Like,
we never see what happened. Obviously, he kills him, but we never get to see like what
right,
happened to
who
his
kills
body.
who? What are you talking about?
That's the guy
Public
that he.
killed
That's
that guy.
yeah, Pubba. That's who killed Pubba. But Pubba's like, I took care of him. He's not gonna hurt you. But he also
Yeah.
hurt Pubba, and that's how Pubba.
Well, Papa
died.
got sick. Papa
Right,
got
but he got it
caught-
from that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He caught the sick. He wasn't like injured, right?
No, but he
Okay.
had blood on his hands from where he had killed that guy.
Oh, he did
Right.
kill that guy. Okay.
Right, because he says he goes, I took. He's not gonna bother us.
Okay. So he was a bad guy, or does
Yes.
it matter?
No, he was because he marked it.
Oh, the flags. That's right. Okay, I forgot that. All right. But it was weird though because he was calling for Sarah when so and so came up. So and so when Papa came upon him. So and so.
That's a trick. That's a trick.
Yeah, I mean it's a good one, like because it causes you to doubt, right? Like you're like, okay, but he was, you know, and this freak not how to say this. I don't know. Papa kind of got on my nerves in this scene because he started getting super irrational, and I just thought this guy's gonna kill you. You know, like like I don't know. And then he said something where he slipped up, and I felt like that let the guy know that not only is Pubba living out here, but like he doesn't know what the fuck's going on outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he
so
says
I
he's been there
kinda
like 9 years and something.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, you
by
could be
himself, yeah.
living out there because he says to him, he says something like, "Get back on the road," and that's when he goes, "Get back on." You know, like it rang like
The
that's
road's
when.
the last place you want to be.
Yeah. Like, and he even said it in a way like you would say to somebody like if they were driving, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, it just felt like he let on that he was way out of touch. Not just that he's living out there, but that he doesn't know what the fuck's going on out there, and he could probably be told anything and believe it.
hmm
Um,
And Sweet Tooth got on my nerves there too.
Yeah, he
but
started moving around and shit.
he's a kid though, whose father
Yeah, I mean,
is
that's-
not
that's what-
telling him. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's the thing is like he's not telling him the truth.
Mhm.
You know, the full truth, and even like openly being like, I'm not telling you the truth.
Right.
Hold it. And so like when you tell the kid to stay inside, it's like the kid is gonna come outside because
Yeah.
he doesn't know that this is a real threat.
Oh.
I guess like he doesn't know that he doesn't know the full.
That's just
That's
the
what-
first time he's
yes.
ever seen another human, too. And
It's like a fairy
more
tale.
curiosity.
Yes. I was just thank you. That's the and I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to articulate this better later in my notes because hopefully I wrote that part down. But there was a point where I felt like something he said in particular. I'm like, you warned him enough. Like he was scared enough to like not go past a certain point or whatever. He knew enough to use that slingshot as a weapon. Like, you know what I mean? But he doesn't know enough, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't realize how real the danger is, to the point where he thinks that he can build this raft thing and just go out there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part where it's like, you should have better prepared him.
Yeah, that's another thing this reminded me of. Sorry, but it reminded me of Dragon Ball.
Oh, I haven't seen
because in the original series of Dragon Ball, that's what happens. Is like Goku is a kid and he's being raised by like his trainer or whatever in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know, like, so he is so naive when it comes to meeting someone for the first time.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I
What?
just realized something about this show.
And that's the thing, is like, it feels like Sweet Tooth, even though he knows enough, like just like Goku, like knows enough to protect himself and not like let animals hurt him or whatever. But like he's so naive about everything that is like human in the world.
I know that, you guys, I know exactly what this season at least is going to be. This is like Sweet Tooth's from Springer. He is about to go, he's about to go out into the world and discover, well,
McDonald's.
But yeah, well, I don't know. It's a post-apocalyptic world at this point. We don't know what's out there. But I'm still, it's probably a lot cooler than living in the fucking woods.
He's gonna
Okay.
take some of that Aunt Jemima and be like, "What the fuck is that?"
This is butter.
The high fructose corn syrup.
He's gonna go out there and get diabetes. That's fucked up.
Sweet Tooth cavities.
Yeah.
Season 2.
The dentist.
Oh my
But that is
God.
the thing, is like he goes out at the end of the episode and he sees like the big canyon, and it's like he doesn't know shit about this.
Right?
Right. He's
And
never
it's like-
seen nothing but trees. Like,
Did he
this is
teach him
all
to
open.
swim?
What'd you say?
Did he teach him to swim?
They never
Probably?
showed us if it.
No, there's no river though.
Right, that's what I'm like. Yeah, right?
So yeah, no, he probably doesn't know how to swim. I mean,
Can deer
maybe
swim?
like naturally. Can deer children swim?
No, can deer.
Naturally.
Real deer.
I don't know. He could track like a motherfucker.
That kid is the best. His little ears. All right, sorry, we're jumping ahead. All right, I forgot. I didn't realize I had notes on this this section, this encounter. So when he does encounter that man who's looking for his sister before he kills him, he says something about being in the company. What's that?
Yeah, that's got to be some like post-apocalyptic.
Shit, right? And
Negan. It's got to be, right. It's got to
Yeah,
be something
no.
like that.
because, and I have this, like, it's the same thing. I have in the company 9 years, and that's what it was. Remember I said he said something that let that guy know? Because he didn't know, I'm like, yeah, see, it's one thing to say, you know, I've been in this one spot for 9 years, and another be like, I've been in this spot and I don't know shit about what's going on out there, you know? All right. And so then when he goes out to find this guy to take care of him, and he's telling him all this stuff, and he goes, all right, so what did I tell you? He goes, it's okay to lie. He's like, that's what you took from that conversation.
I mean, it
I
ain't
love this.
wrong.
I love this kid so much. But yeah, he comes back and he's sick, and he eventually dies.
But I just love that, like, because we just watched it. But I just love how he did that. Like, he knew he was dying, and he wanted to make sure that Gus could take care of himself. So he tells Gus to make breakfast. That's what he wanted, was
It's
breakfast.
a little too late for that. You should have maybe been teaching him how to do that instead of hopping over them rocks. Because let me tell you something. Every time that fucking kid hopped along them wet ass rocks, I'm like, why? He's
What if he
gonna.
breaks his leg?
Or what if he slips and busts his fucking head open? I'm like, why are we doing this? And I get it. I get what it's like, because later when he's running from running from Big Man, he hops that shit no problem. He was like,
Yeah,
fuck this
he was like the frog lady on the Mandalorian. He was like, I'm not a human anymore.
no, them deer instincts kick right the
Guy's
fuck
down
in.
on all fours.
It was amazing. But
But
anyway.
that's the thing is like when Pubba is like, well, when Sweet Tooth is like, oh, and when I get back, you'll tell me everything, right? And he's like, yeah, when you get back, I'll tell you everything. And I was like, you asshole,
Right.
because you're gonna die and you know
He
it.
probably killed himself.
That's why he had the backup plan with the heart. He's like, even then, that little montage, he's like, I can't tell him. So he has to bury the tree.
Yeah.
Probably downed a bottle of syrup.
That'll do it, I bet.
I don't know. I'll try.
It got to be straight from the source, though. We took that thick ass molasses from the tree.
I ain't sucking on no tree dick. Come on.
Oh my god. But yeah, when he was like, when you
Very
come,
different than anything. Okay, go ahead.
when he goes, when you come back, I'll tell you everything. That's just like fucking Ned Stark and Jon Snow. He's like, when I'll get back, I'll tell you about your mother. Then Ned fucked around and got his head cut off. Anyway, spoilers. So he ends up he's living alone for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, it was either a year or 2 years. If
Because he said something
he said
about
the
the time.
company was 9 years ago, then I guess it's only a year later.
Well, because yeah, in the narration,
Because they
when-
said this is
right
his
before-
10th winter.
yes, right before we get the reveal that he has a scarecrow dad sitting across the table.
That was so sad.
It really was. It was heartbreaking. Because
And I
as
was so attached to Pubba when they revealed the pinky. Then he had the pinky shaking pinky.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, that,
Yeah.
that was terrible. But when he's doing that thing where you see like he's like, you know, in a rhythm and living on his own, and he's like, but clearly talking to someone, I was like, if he got that dead body, Donnie, if he got that dead body,
And that's what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like the skeleton or some
sitting
shit.
up there. Oh, but it wasn't. I was like, thank God. What are you laughing at? We don't know what this kid knows. We already
Oh, that
established
was
that.
so fucked up.
Right? Papa probably didn't think about that part. Shit. Anyway. So things starts breaking down, which I love, but I hate. Like, this is so realistic, you know? And this is part of the thing where I was frustrated. I was just like, what were you teaching him, dude?
Yeah, like that was something I thought of when he was hiding and the deer came in. Number one, he told him to stay under there and not come out until I get back. And then the first sound he hears, he goes out
Because
Yeah.
he's a
and
kid.
finds that deer.
This is mom.
He was like, Mom?
Sure. But then that's the thing. Is
What
like
would you
that
have
deer
done
when
if
it
she...
left,
Wait. What would y'all have done if she started talking to him?
I'd have been like, "Oh, that's this kind of show." I guess we're watching a different kind of show now.
You'd have been like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I wouldn't have liked
But
that.
when-
Go ahead.
But when that deer left and the window broke, I was like, "Oh shit! Like, how do you get a window? Like, what do you do?" And that's the thing is like when these things start breaking, and it's like the tap for the tree broke, and I was like, "Well, no more syrup for you." Like, how do
No
you,
more sis.
what do you do?
Yeah, and we learn later they didn't have no duct tape. He was like, "What's this magic?"
See, that's all Papa needed was some duct tape.
Duct
They would've
tape,
been fine.
right?
They would have built a whole fucking house out of duct tape.
He was still shooting that slingshot at him while he was fixing his pipe.
Yes. That bless
I
that
was
little
like,
baby.
Fuck this kid.
Nah, he don't know no better. Shit.
No, I was like, if I were him,
Oh.
I'd have been like, fuck this kid.
But even when everything starts breaking down, this is the first time you see him actually get angry. This is like the equivalent of your kid slamming the door because they're pissed off at you.
But he started.
So you're just like
fire.
burning everything.
Oh my god! But wait, I just remembered this. So up until this point, there was like it was something he was teaching him how to do, explaining something to him, and then he has that thing, dog, right? And I was like,
Right.
oh, is this Daryl Dixon's origin story? And then when he set that I was like, holy shit, he is Daryl.
Like he said that part when he saw it, his eyes lit up, and I was like, "Oh, this is an arsonist."
Yeah, he lights.
Like,
And then he went back and got more shit to put on it. I was like, he was too through. And the little grunts he was making was so cute because they sounded like a little animal.
And the second he did it, I
Bleeding.
even said I said the father said no fires during the day. I said this is gonna be trouble.
Yup. But when he's throwing his little tantrum, I like when he goes and he fetches the dog and he's like, I'm sorry. He's so precious. But in the midst of his tantrum, he finds the map, and then that leads him to the lockbox that Papa buried for him. And he finds, he tossed that money in the debit cards aside.
yeah, for one, he's never seen a key in his life. Like, that was hilarious, him trying to open that box.
Just, you see what I mean? How do you not teach him some of this basic shit?
And I feel like Papa had to have been a teacher. The fact that he knew all those kids' books and he could rewrite them and all that stuff. Like, I couldn't fucking rewrite a kid's book. I couldn't remember any of that shit.
Make shit up,
but he remembered so many of them and rewrote so many of them. I feel like
he probably wrote it like... He was probably wrote like, if you give a mouse a cookie, and then the end of it's like, and God will thank you.
You give a mouse a cookie, but don't take your ass beyond that fence, or the world will burn.
It's like every book is like, yeah, he recreated it, but like from his view.
Yes. And the moral of every story is don't take your little dear ass out there, or you will burn. Even the Dr. Seuss like ones.
So one fish, two fish, red fish, don't go the fuck out there.
The places you better not fucking go.
If I'm in the zoo, I do, stay here.
Oh my god.
But
really
when he was taking that shit out of that box, what'd you say?
Nothing, go ahead.
When he was taking that shit out of that box, just throwing it aside, I was like, this is Bubba's stuff. It's like he's just throwing it away.
And you know what?
I'm too sentimental.
But here's wait a second. Like, you of all people, you're the one who's like, when you're dead, you don't care. You don't know.
Yeah, but like, he ain't dead.
Papa's dead.
Yeah, but Sweet Tooth ain't.
And he don't know what fucking money is. But Papa never told him what fucking money was.
But here's the thing. This is weird to me that he had stuff that was like, if the world comes back. Right?
Like
car
keys
cash,
in there. Credit cards.
This was very villagey.
Yeah. But like,
it was like, this is the box that we put our keepsakes in. And it's like, why? Like, you're not here. Like, you're not going back outside this fence ever. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my god. But the way
like, what is he scrapbooking for? Like, what are you doing?
He sniffed that money and threw it. Oh my god, he was like, fuck this. But he finds a picture of presumably his mother, and on the back of the photo, or at the bottom, it says that the photo was taken in Colorado. And then he finds the flyers that we had seen earlier in the episode being dumped from overhead, and it's for this reserve that supposedly takes in and helps hybrid children. And Donnie pointed out that flyer, like, you said something
it's
like
color.
Because later what?
The flyer that's in the block box is in color, whereas the ones that got dropped from the plane were all like photocopies and stuff. They're all black and white.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He had the original.
Right.
Yeah.
He probably wrote that.
Yes, that's his. He
Maybe he took Gus
Sweet
from that
Tooth.
place.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Sweet Tooth,
Yeah.
you were
That place
already
was
there.
created, and he took Gus from there.
That's where they made the hybrids.
Yep. Oh my God, there we go. That's not his baby.
But I was like, I would not trust flyers dropped from a plane.
No.
In this world, at least.
I mean,
why? Who has the means to fly a plane and drop flyers and is also willing to help me? Like, I don't trust it. It just feels like a government setup, you know?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
That's
you're
how they
right.
get you.
um, so he heads out for Colorado, and he gets to the goddamn fence.
I
And
just like he has this whole plan.
he
He
couldn't
does
even
all this
make it
studying to make a
past
raft
the
and all this.
fence. He couldn't even make it past the fence. Baby got waylaid by a candy bar.
I can't blame him.
He's got a sweet tooth. Come on.
But
He smelled it. He smelled it through that wrapper. It was
there's
like
just
when an animal comes into a store, you see those videos where they come in and they grab the candy and run away.
I see kids do that. What animals are you talking about?
Like I was thinking specifically about a bird, but I wanted to say
Oh, I'm
animal.
thinking like a deer running through. When like when you said when an animal comes into the store and looks around, I was like, oh, like when a deer crashes through a window. What is he
I mean, I guess raccoons probably do it too,
doing? But
but he can
this
smell it
whole
through the wrapper.
yeah, he absolutely could smell it. He stops and his little ears perks up and he's sniffing and his head just whips right towards it. And this whole time, asked Donnie, the first time we watched this, I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I thought he was gonna get like swooped up in a net. You know?
Yeah.
He'd be hanging from a tree like Jet in Avatar.
They're
Um
all in his mouth.
but yeah, he is these poachers attempt to, and they're surprised that he can talk and his age.
Right. He's older than all of them, and that's kind of fucked up. You think about it, like he's the first one they've ever come across that can talk. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how they treat all these other ones that are
Mm-hmm.
probably just a year younger than him.
Yeah, he runs into these Republicans and they're trying to hunt him.
Mm-hmm. But he is saved by this big black man. I was like, yeah, black man. I was really, I was very happy to see a black person. Since everything was being kind of white up until now. But he's saved, and I like that they don't show it, but he absolutely killed that second guy.
Oh yeah, you hear the good shot.
Yeah, and that's why I know Gus is like later. He's like, "What's that boom?"
He goes, it makes people disappear.
And I'm like, again, can y'all really just tell this fucking kid how shit works, please?
Yeah, just like
Before he accidentally shoots himself.
it's a post-apocalyptic world. Like you don't have to baby talk.
Right? Jesus Christ.
Like, it's actually dangerous to do.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my god, tell this kid exactly how this works.
Right, because we still don't know if the mother's alive or not. He never told us exactly what happened to the
Right.
mother, right?
No. And that's like, it's just, I mean, I get it because he's a kid and, kids are stupid. But like, I'm like, Colorado is far. and,
Is it?
is it? Yeah, it is. I think presumably. Where are they exactly?
They're in Wyoming. I think it was the next state.
Yeah,
below
they're
them.
in Yellowstone. Yeah, so they're probably like 500 miles. So I mean, it's not
I
close.
mean, I mean, I think we're supposed to feel like, even given the lies that Papa told, but like everything we've seen so far, that it's far enough that it's not probably a good idea for him to just head out with a raft.
Right. It's a
I
journey.
think he's gonna go there.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to just take Colorado River there.
But yeah, he ends up helping him repair stuff, telling him how to, ward off future problems. And the whole time, Sweet Tooth's trying to put on that his dad's coming back any minute.
He's
now.
bigger than you.
That
Said,
kid,
"Don't make him bigger than me."
that kid wasn't listening to any of the advice.
No.
that he
So,
was
John,
given.
you did catch, and I forgot did you catch that they showed you this guy at the beginning of the episode on the TV?
No.
Yeah, so he was there, and the doctor, I forgot if it was he might have been at home, but on the background of the TV there was a football player doing an interview, and it was him.
Oh yeah, I remember the football player. I just didn't realize it was
Yeah.
the same guy.
Yeah. It better be, otherwise you
Yeah,
are racist,
right.
and I would like a divorce. Because I am just going off Donnie's word. Let me do
Yeah, it was him.
All right.
I think we're gonna see that doctor again. What do you
Oh, I
guys
do
think?
too. I think
Right,
he's
we
going to be the
have
one.
to.
Yeah, he's got to be the one in charge of the where all the hybrids are.
Why?
That's why just my thought because he had all
Oh,
the ones in the hospital, and
yeah.
that's
I
I
mean,
kind
he
of
mean,
that's
wasn't even
how
really
they
like
left
in
it.
charge of the hospital though.
huh?
He wasn't even really like in charge of the hospital.
No,
But I
but
was
you
just
got to
gonna
think
say,
that
but I
everything's
mean,
falling
it.
apart.
I was just gonna say exactly that. That at that because remember when the nurse came in the room, he was just there with his wife, and she's like, "Are you a doctor?" It was like she couldn't find one,
Mhm.
so he just might have just by default be. He is like the doctor of the world now, for all we know.
Oh,
How
this
much?
is Fauci.
What?
This is Fauci. Dr. Fauci right here.
How much of the world do you think is left? Like, what do you think it looks like out there? Because he
Like The
was,
Walking Dead.
huh?
Or it's probably more like Mad Max.
I was gonna say, do you think it's like the passage, Donnie, where it's like damn near no one, or do you think it's like The Walking Dead?
I think it's more probably a little bit more populated than The Walking Dead, but I think there's definitely pockets of people that are
Mm,
just kind of
hiding.
tribed up and
Yeah.
got their own little compounds and shit.
It's like Wayward Pines.
Yes.
that that was the that story still fucks with me. You know, that's a fucked up twist, man. You know? Like to
Hmm.
just wake up and be like, how much time has passed? What has humanity evolved into? What is we all live in this subdivision because what now? Like, ugh. And then didn't we get the reveal of the one guy? It was his mother. Remember?
Not really, no.
There was okay. Do you don't remember? There was when we find out what's really going on, right? And that there's like this select group kind of like running all this and watching him and stuff. One of them is well, two of them is this couple. They're like little young Nazis couple, and he's particularly bad, and she starts to not be such an asshole. But at one point, it's revealed that she was thawed out after having given birth. She was frozen after she had a baby,
Hmm.
and he is that baby. You get it? Like so, she ends up finding out what happened to the baby she had before she was frozen. So when she thawed out, she didn't know that the guy she fell in love with was her son.
Yeah.
I don't
Because
remember that.
you don't remember? Oh my god, that was like revealed in the final season, I think. But
I'm
like,
not even sure if I watched the final season.
oh man, but like so much of that story. If you guys haven't seen Wayward Pines, so much of that's one of those stories. It's just I don't like it.
Yeah.
The
And
scenario,
that's
all of it, it's just so fucking sad and just hopeless. Oh, I hate it.
and that's what's happening here.
Do you think?
I don't know. I was just thinking about like the sparsity of humanity. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
is what I was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it could be, like seriously, like sort of like a World War Z kind of thing, where like things are just kind of like walled off.
Mm.
Where like some places are better and some places are
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. Because
Like
that was like
I don't know if we're supposed to think this is like a real like post-apocalyptic like everything's falling apart kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Without internet, though, I think it would. I think the world would fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, like knowing that the internet doesn't exist anymore, like
Mhm.
that is a big sign of like civilization going downward, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
so maybe we are supposed to think it's a post-apocalyptic thing. I don't know.
yeah.
I
And
just think like 9 years seems like a very fast time for that kind of thing to happen. But you know,
remember the strain? That show could not decide how bad it wanted things to be, especially once it was just like, oh, vampires exist and they're running shit and they got vampire dogs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was some
Mhm.
episodes where, remember, like the world just was functioning like normal, and then some episodes it was like Mad Max in the streets.
Yeah, it was like one street over.
Yes, but like remember Staten Island was fine for a while.
Yeah, it's like they cut those bridges off and it's fine.
Anyway, sorry, we're just spoiling all the old TV shows we used to podcast. um, so yeah, he tells him, he asks what's in Colorado. He says nothing good for you, and if you leave here, they'll have your head mounted on a wall by morning. I was like, who's they? Like, what are we doing? He's a baby. What are we doing to these
And I'm
babies?
just, and I'm just like, they're still fucking doing that.
Like,
Like
yeah, like what
the
are we?
world's falling apart, and we're gonna
And
mount some heads on the
okay,
wall.
but here's the thing, though. So how do like are people? So clearly, people are still having babies. Like, are that's the crazy how the world still goes, man. Like, because you would think I wouldn't have no babies then, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
turn this place into children of men.
but like, right? Like, not even if you are like, I'm totally cool having a hybrid baby, right?
Hmm.
But knowing how they're treated, why would you have babies? Is it a thing where it's like there's a chance that it could just be a normal human? Okay, but then why would you have babies? Like, what are you trying to bring into the world? What world, like what's going on out there? So I just have questions because he
Right.
was like, they're gonna put who's they? Why are we putting children's heads on what? Where are these hybrids coming from? Like, like, who's
And
still
they're still
having
testing him because
babies?
that's what the two guys wanted to take him
Right?
to
Somebody's
the lab.
paying
They
for
said,
this
"Let's
stuff.
take. You want to take him to the lab?" He said, "No, let's take him out east."
So it sounds like there's
And that tells you,
several.
okay, he's worth a lot more.
Yeah,
If you take him out east.
there's probably several. So there's still like there's a business, and I guess maybe their answers your question. I don't my question, like who's still having babies. So then maybe I don't know. Oh God, I'm
Having
so
babies to
curious.
sell them.
Right, that's what I mean. I I'm so curious to see what this world is like.
Bad. It sounds
I
like.
mean, I'm curious to see how bad this world is and what it looks like. Although I will say I was spoiled a little bit. The photo, the photo of the show on Netflix. What does it look like for you guys?
I don't know. I'm not on it. I can go look at it.
Okay. Because before it was, I think, just his face with his little antlers and stuff. And then I noticed right before we went live, I went to the bathroom. I walked by, looked, the screensaver was up. The cover is different, and that's all I'll
Yeah,
say.
no.
It's like a theme park.
Sweet Tooth,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, it's a theme park on mine.
Oh, okay. Nope, mine is not that at all.
Yeah, it's an overgrown theme park.
I mean, that's the thumbnail. I guess maybe when you click into it, maybe it's a different picture.
My thumbnail was what I'm thinking of. That's interesting. Um, I'll be curious to see what other
They
people
changed Shadow
say.
and Bone too. Did they?
Yeah, my thumbnail is not that, you guys. Wow. I think it's kind of spoilery.
And then because they have different sections, and the section that says only on Netflix, they have a Sweet Tooth, and it's of Sweet Tooth.
Mm.
It's just a picture of him with his little antlers.
But yeah,
So
but
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
the,
see
the
anything.
top 10
spoiler.
in the U.S. today, it's on there, and it's just the amusement park.
All right. I'm going to take a screenshot. I don't want to spoil it for people listening in case. Although I think a lot of people are probably ahead of us at this point. And I'll put it in our group chat. All right. So when he decides to go with him and he starts like doubting, I like when he's standing by the grave and he's like, what if he was wrong?
Yeah,
And
Mm-hmm.
they did this thing throughout the episode. I don't know if I mentioned it to Tanya the first time we watched it, where it felt like he would hear something and it was like this high pitched like tinging noise, and it happened here in this scene in particular, like when he's like, what if he was wrong? And then he hears it and he looks up at the sky and like the wind's blowing and like you can see the trees blowing and
Yeah,
the
it's
wind
like
and stuff.
like he has these high senses.
Heightened senses,
'Cause
yes.
He would do a couple times in an episode. He would close his eyes.
Yes.
And just kind of listen out for stuff.
Yes. And so I asked you, I was like, I don't know if you remember this, but like the first time I was like, that noise, is that like a signal to like, for us to be, how can I say it? Like he can hear something that Papa wouldn't be able to hear.
Right.
And this is what it's like for, okay. So I love that because again, you know, he's questioning everything, right? His human side and now his animal side. Basically, he's trusting his animal instincts literally to go with Big Man.
I love the music transition here too.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, it's like I was like, is that Mumford and Sons? That's what it sounded like. But it was Of Mice and Men, which is very similar.
It's just as white.
Yes. It's just a folk song. Is what it is.
Go look at the group chat.
Oh yeah, I see it. I haven't seen that.
Oh wait, hold on. The group chat. Hold on. I'm over here.
I like the font, how they have the W in sweet is the antlers.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Yeah, right? Like that's so that's why I was like, okay, so that's what it's like in them streets.
I'm telling you right now, if that's what it's like, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I
told you it's gonna be some Mad Max shit.
I don't want The Walking Dead. I don't want that.
Nope. Nope.
So I hope that's like minor.
Yeah, I was gonna say few and far between. If we get like one episode, it'll be kind of cool if this is basically like The Walking Dead but better. If it's like, but not you know, threat to threat, but more like world building.
Right, but it's just that he's not going to be in the same spot for a long time.
Right. And, you know, this the adventures of him trying to get here to get these questions answered. We see pockets of this world. And if that's like one pocket of it, great. But I don't want all the pockets to be like that.
Yeah, oh God.
Like roving, competing gangs. I would lose my
That's
shit.
just the Republicans.
Yeah, just a bunch of Republicans around. I don't want to see this. I see that enough in real life.
When he was like, big man, take me, I just lose it.
Yeah,
it just makes me cry. I don't, it's so basic, so just vulnerable and raw. It's just so basic. Big man, take me.
I want him to look at him and be like, oh shit, and then run away.
Like, I walk around. He's like, listen, this is still America, and I'm still a black man, and you're still a white kid. A white deer kid. He's like, I am not Tyrese. I saw how that nigga ended up.
That was something I noticed. All the babies in the hospital were white babies.
Yeah.
They didn't want them problems, John.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They didn't want them goddamn problems.
They're like, we're not going there.
Right. Yeah. Put all these little white babies, put all these little antlers and fins and gills and porcupine sticky things, put all them spots and shit on white babies.
We'll make the nurse black.
Right. And there you go. And we are fine with that. Thank you very much. Y'all got it right. Okay. So before I read this one bit of feedback, John, the ending, what did you cry too?
No.
Such a
John's evil.
I know.
I didn't cry. Like, I don't know. It wasn't like I was excited, like more than I was like. I was just like, oh, this is fun. Like that's all. That's the feeling that I had watching it, and when him like take me, I was like, yeah, cool.
You're like, yay, adventure.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it felt. I was like, yeah, like this kid lived just like 10 years in this one place, and he's getting out. He's just going out on the road. Which is the last place you want to be, apparently.
Apparently, according to dead guy, what's his name? Looking for his sister. All right, let me pull up this feedback again. I had it and then I closed it. Okay. Classic R&B lover says, "Hello, Nina and Donnie, possibly John." Possibly John.
Possibly.
It's like Kim Possible. Possibly John.
Call me Sweet Tooth.
Don't call him that.
In your feedback, call me Sweet Tooth.
Call me Big Man.
I hate you both! You both do not, I swear to God. Stop it.
What should they call you, Nina?
Nothing! My name. Thank you very much. Call me Birdie. I'm kidding.
You know what's going to happen now.
I hate you all. Every last one of you. Okay. So she says, okay, the puppy baby was cute. There was a puppy baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the very first one, right?
Yeah.
Was it a wait a second, you can't do that. Well, we can't do domesticated animals. No, hold on a second.
Yeah, there was a puppy. I think there was like a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
There was
The porcupine,
a bird.
the bird.
Yeah.
I don't like the domesticated. Something about that ain't right. They're practically people. You can't do that. Well, technically, I guess now they are.
Yeah, like, they're technically people now. What are you talking about? It's just the next step. He thinks he's people.
He's a good boy.
Oh my God, where was I?
He was like, when the big man was like, speak.
You could talk.
I'll be glad when we know that guy's name. We can stop calling him Big Man.
Me too.
I mean, I technically know his name, but I'm not using it because they haven't given it on the show.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna call him Zara Duck Sauce. I don't remember.
That's what his mama called him.
Right. And also, that is not culturally insensitive because that's some language George R. R. Martin made up. Has nobody's real name. Unless you named your baby after that character and then you are not too bright. So anyway, she says the puppy baby was cute. The others were interesting. I
They
don't
were
know.
cute too. Leave him alone.
I don't know. That bird baby actually had a beak, I think, and that's.
That was cute. You shut up.
Imagine trying to breastfeed that.
Why would I imagine that?
Because it's a baby, and you breastfeed
He spit in
babies.
his mouth.
Right? Chew it up, spit in his mouth.
I hate you both so much.
Why would I imagine this? What are you doing?
I'm a woman, and when you talk about babies, that's the kind of shit we think about.
You put that baby on a bottle.
No, because his little beak will puncture the fucking nipple.
You put that baby on some worms.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
John, this whole conversation is totally making the case for putting these heads on spikes. I'm just telling you.
What?
Because you're creeping me the fuck out now.
What am I? You're the one talking about breastfeeding birds.
No, I was talking about breastfeeding the baby. But now you're making me look at them as something other than babies, and now I'm
You're
freaked
like
out.
worms because that's what he is. He's a bird.
Right? And now I'm like, ah!
He's a bird baby.
I don't know. I hate this whole conversation. Is making me.
It's like the way you put it like in a teething ring. You put like Cheerios in it, but you put the worms in it instead. See, it's cute now again, isn't it?
No, it's really not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
Those babies were cute. You shut up.
God. So then she goes on to say, I don't know how I would respond to such a birth if it happened to me. All I can hope is that I would not be the absolute worst. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute worst, like you're selling that baby for parts, for animal parts, and 1, you
It's
would.
like, it's like if you're okay, hold on before you get to that. If you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I'm gonna get pregnant so I can sell this baby,
Hard up for money.
do you hope for like one of them is like, oh, it's a chicken. It's
What?
like
What's your
like
question?
people eat chicken. Like
What is
So
your
you want people to eat
question?
your baby?
that's what you're selling it. That's what are you selling it for?
Hey, we had talked about eating the kids.
What are you talking about? What is happening?
Shit.
I don't
It's an animal. You're the one talking about
Oh my
selling it.
god.
I didn't say
Like,
anything
you're
of the
gonna-
sort. I just said you would sell it for parts, like to those labs and stuff that they're talking about. That's what I meant.
For parts.
Yes, like you.
John's
That's
talking
what made me
about
think it was
Thanksgiving
like
dinner.
it's like a wing. This is a wing. This is a breast.
I was joking.
This is the left hand.
I was
You know.
joking. I didn't mean literally for parts, but like you would sell it to like those labs, right? Like to those poachers or whatever.
Yeah, the
right?
KFC lab.
Right, or whatever.
The kids.
And one being you would love it and try to raise it as best you can, just like you would if it was pure human. How would you respond to a hybrid baby, John?
One.
You're a liar.
No, I mean like
How
it's like
do
the
you
same way
say one so fast?
because if it's your
You've been
baby.
thinking about this all day, haven't you?
Well, I mean, I watched the episode like 2 hours ago, but yeah, I mean, if it's your baby, I did think about this, in the watching the show. I was like, because these people are so terrible, like they're putting heads on walls and shit, and I'm just like, why are people like this? And it's like it's for me, it's no different from if your baby like has any other birth abnormality.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, why are you gonna like throw it away? Like that's weird. So yeah, one.
Yeah, right. That is worse than weird. John.
What do you mean?
You said you're just gonna throw your baby away. That's weird. It's like I think I could have thought of a stronger word.
Like, you said all of that. That's what you got out of it.
No, I did. I got all of it out of it, but that last part was funny.
Okay, yeah, you throw your baby away. That's fucked up.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Now that being said, I would be 12. I'm kidding. Ugh. How
What
would
would
you
you be,
react? I would absolutely do one, but how I would react, I wouldn't. I would like it, and I guess specifically, I'm talking about what we saw in the beginning. My mind is in that original, nursery of babies. Like this is the first time it's happened. I wouldn't be happy about it. I would be freaked the fuck out. I would have questions, like. But I wouldn't be like, oh, well, this is just what God gave me, and
Yeah,
I guess
wouldn't be like that either.
I guess we gotta put in a doggy door now. Like, you know what?
Why are you gonna...
Like, like I would have questions. Is all I'm saying. Now I gotta go home and bird proof my house, my nursery.
It's like the dad's like, wait a minute.
Right?
The dad's like, wait. You've been sleeping with my best friend.
And his best friend's an alligator.
Oh, his best friend's a dog.
I know. I was making it grosser.
Oh man.
Oh my
Oh man,
god.
that'd be good.
All I'm saying is, I think that first crop of parents would be rightfully like free. Like, I don't think it would just be that simple, that pure of a response. That said, I wouldn't sell my baby. Anyway, Donnie, you?
I treat it like Pokemon.
Oh my
Gotta
god.
collect them all.
Oh my god. Now, that said, I still want to know what kind of people are still having babies. Because I don't know that I could go that far. If you don't know what caused this, and not just that, but you have a world in which the sick still is out there.
The
You know?
sick and like the fact that if you have a hybrid baby, it's gonna have to live its life.
Right, that's what,
You know,
it's not like it,
how
right. It's not like you like it's not like your purely straight up human babies are going to stand a chance. Like there's no school, there's like so who is still having babies is my question. And the only thing I could see is if this is a thing where there's a market for it. Unfortunately. Which means
sort
but
of
what if there's no
Handmaid's Tale situation.
basically. And what is the currency like? What when he
Babies.
says no, but what yeah, but what are they getting for that? For these babies? Like when he says when he goes your
Oh shit.
antlers your antlers are so big. I counted 3 points. That's jackpot. So like what are they there's no money.
You would think they get something,
Right.
whatever,
What's I mean, what
with
is the
food or
currency?
whatever
A
they.
jar of pickles.
What's wrong with you? What if you get like what if that's what you get like if you bring like a stork?
Storks aren't real, Nina.
A stork baby. You get some pickles.
That's like a unicorn baby. It's fake babies.
Yeah, and when when you bring a unicorn baby, you get like Skittles.
But that's the thing is like, I just was thinking about like, if you were someone you had a non-hybrid baby, like, it would be worth so much more,
But
wouldn't
then,
it?
okay, but then who for what to what end though?
Like,
Like,
if you want a baby, and then someone else has a baby that's not a hybrid baby, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy that baby because I want a baby, and I don't want to risk
oh,
having a hybrid baby.
but what are you paying with? Like that's what like what kind of world is this? Like, why do people want babies? Because they're living like Mad Max. You get what I'm
I
saying?
just
Like I'm just trying to figure out like what kind. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand people are still fucking because people gonna fuck. Okay, and I understand that shit happens, but I can't imagine like in situations of people are actively trying to get pregnant in this world, and if we say. Oh, well, the babies themselves are valuable, right? Like, let's say you have a hybrid baby, you can sell it to one of these labs or whatever that the bounty hunters are doing. Okay, but what then are they giving you in return? What's the currency? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
is it cash? Because I don't think money is. There's no government. Remember, he said there's no law. There's no government. So what's the currency? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So for whatever reason that you want to sell your human baby or your hybrid baby, what are people paying you with?
I
That's
don't know.
what
It's
you know what
weird
I
because
mean?
it's kind of like a Snowpiercer situation where it's like I don't know why. Like there probably are still rich people, right? Like the people who were rich before things fell apart, they're still probably like the high society. But it's like why? Like
Right. And like and
what do
even
they
what does
have
and
that
9 years
makes
in
them valuable?
exactly. 9 years in, what does that even mean? Cuz like whatever even people who are rich and have like bunkers, let's say, like once that runs out, what do you have?
Right, money's no good no more. So
Exactly. So it's just interesting. I'm not like complaining. I think it's I
Candy
like
bars,
this. Huh?
candy bars.
Who's still making candy bars? And
I don't know. They got them.
it can't be good, right?
I don't know. I mean, Sweet Tooth seemed to think it was tasted pretty good.
Sweet Tooth ain't never had shit. Sweet
Wait
Tooth
till he
right
gets all
now.
the Twinkie. Twinkies last forever.
Right now, Sweet Tooth has dysentery. He don't know no better. Anyway. So, she says, where is Gus's mother? Note the father said she was quote unquote gone, not dead. I mean, it's not hard to imagine a woman giving birth to a deer baby and bouncing. Yeah.
Or he stole her.
Or he stole her. Him.
She's in
Him.
Colorado.
My heart broke when the father died and Gus was left alone. I was torn between give the circumstances, how can you plan for that? And given the circumstances, how do you fail to plan for that? Exactly. Exactly. That was my frustration too. Given that Gus is older than the other hybrids and appears to be the only hybrid that can talk, was Gus's father somehow a contributing factor in the existence of the disease that killed most of the human population and or the hybrids? I love the narrative format and the and the cinematography is beautiful. I'm reserving my judgment on the black character who for now seems to serve the sole purpose of protecting the white protagonist. Oh my god. So, oh, he's so cute. I don't know if I mentioned this before. This little kid, this character, he is so cute. And he's a good actor, I think.
Yeah, he was doing a good job.
Mhm.
Little Christian Convery.
Convery. He's absolutely adorable. So that's it, you guys. We will be back in 3 days. Yes, to talk about Loki
On the premium show.
on the premium show. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being. Never mind. I was
You're
going
gonna
to say
sell
something.
that baby.
Yeah, how excited are you to see Loki? Would you sell your baby?
I don't know. Is that a hybrid baby? What are we talking
And what's the currency? What am I?
about? Am I getting Loki episodes? Is that what you're getting paid with?
I'm excited though. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited. I'm curious.
I haven't watched any of the new trailers.
Oh, good.
So same thing with that one. I'm going in blind on that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things. People have apparently seen the first 2 episodes. I think those are the 2 that they put out 2 episodes.
I saw one reaction channel I follow posted something about watching the first episode. So I didn't click on it though. So it's been what you've heard positive.
Yeah, I'll say that one thing I heard was it's the best Marvel show so far.
Really?
That's what I've heard, and that's tough because I mean I still think
Both, yeah.
WandaVision. Yeah,
Both WandaVision and Falcon
Yeah,
were really good.
I think it can easily top Winter Falcon, honestly. But
Yeah. I absolutely for me it's WandaVision, but but also it's like a white man led show, so I'll reserve judgment.
yeah,
Because motherfuckers will hype up white men for the bare minimum. So
I mean, and a lot of times the early view stuff, it's like people. It feels like people want to be positive more than they actually
unless
are.
it's like a dumpster fire and you cannot, like, your reputation will just not allow you to lie. But yeah, I see that. All right. But yeah, we'll be back in 3 days to talk about Loki over on the premium show. But until then, good night.